Hey, everybody, welcome to the Texas FBS College Football Countdown. This is episode number 13, heading into week number 13. Not a lot of movement. There is a little bit of movement. This is what we do. We come on here and we count down the 13 Texas schools that are in FBS, which is the football bowl system, which are eligible to make the football playoffs. There are 13 teams in the state of Texas. We've been counting them down from the beginning. And from the beginning, started out with just tagging them on Twitter, and now started making videos about 5, 6, 7 weeks ago doing that. We're to week 13. There's only 2 more weeks of regular season football going. Let's get started with number 13. Number 13 is staying where they were, is the UTEP Miners, University of Texas, El Paso. They did not play this week, so the record remains at 8-2. And they are – look, they're going to lose this week too. I don't see any way they do win. They had a bye last week. They're 2-8 overall, and they play Tennessee. Yes, that Tennessee. There is no state. There is no directional Tennessee. This is the Tennessee Volunteers that they are going to play, and they are going up to Tennessee to play that at noon this Saturday, where they're going to have their 9th loss. They're going to be 2-9. They are number 13. Let's go to number 12. Number 12 is, again, staying at number 12, is the Rice Owls. The Rice Owls are number 12. Another team that had a bye this week, they didn't play. Rice is 3-7. They didn't play this week. They're 2-4 in conference, in the American Conference. And this week they play the University of Alabama, Birmingham at Birmingham. 3-7. So we'll see what goes on this week. But both of those two teams, UTEP and Rice, have kind of hung around the bottom there in Texas here in the FBS. Now let's go to number 11, where a new one enters outside of the top 10 for the first time. Let's go to number 11. Number 11 is the University of North Texas Mean Green, the Fighting Eagles, who have lost 4 in a row. Guys, they are 5-5 overall, and they lost to the University of Texas San Antonio. UTSA didn't just beat them, they rolled them 48-27. This is the UTSA that we've known from the last couple of years that have put together bowls, that they've gone to bowls. They played Texas good a couple of years ago. In fact, it was last year when Texas won the Big 12, and UTSA played them pretty good. They ended up, Texas beat them, and they were just a better team. But UTSA is very well coached down there, and but UNT took a big loss, 48-27. They play East Carolina this week, but they come in for the first time outside of the top 10 at number 11. Let's go to the number 10. Okay, making their way back into the top 10 is the UTSA Roadrunners, who beat the North Texas 48-27. Jeff Traylor, former UT coach. He coached at UT, was on their staff under Charlie Strong, who took over UTSA and has done well there, former high school coach in the state of Texas. Boy, they took it to UNT 48-27. Who do they? UTSA this week, they play Temple. They're going to be playing Temple. They host Temple 6 o'clock. That's tonight. They're going to be playing tonight. This is Friday when we're putting this together, and they're going to be playing Temple tonight. But congrats to Jeff Traylor and UTSA for doing that, and they come in at number 10. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 are the Houston Cougars. The Houston Cougars lost this week to Arizona 27-3. They are right now, they're 4-6 overall, 3-4 in the Big 12. But that not a good look. Houston had won a couple of good games. They beat Kansas State, and they beat Utah, beat TCU. But losing to Arizona 27-3, not good. They're coming back to who they really are. They're on the how they play, but they make their way to number 9. Big loss this week. This week they play Baylor. Going to play Baylor at 6 o'clock. They're going to host them down there in Houston in Big 12 play, but they come in at number 9. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 is the Texas State Bobcats, who beat Southern Miss 58-3. They are 8-2 right now, or 6-4 overall. I'm sorry, they're 6-4. They are 4-2 in the Sun Belt Conference West Division. Southern Miss, they beat 58-3. In fact, it was good enough that they have signed Coach Kenny to a 7-year new deal there at Texas State. He was also another high school coach that has made his way up into college football ranks, doing a great job at Texas State. Big win for them. They're going to play Georgia State this week. They're going to host Georgia State this week. They're 4-2 in conference play, depending on what Louisiana does. This may be a team that can work its way to a Sun Belt Conference championship game. They're in second place in the West and somehow get to a championship game. I don't think either one of these teams will be an at-large bid, whether, Marshall right now is winning the East. But whoever wins that Sun Belt Conference, let's be honest, neither team's probably going to have enough to make it into the college football playoffs. They're just not good enough, quite honestly. They're not going to be ranked good enough, and none of them are ranked in right now. That's Texas State is number 8. Let's go to number 7. Baylor Bears. The number 8 is number 7 is the Baylor Bears. And I tell you what, Aranda is trying to save his job. And guys, he's kind of doing it. Got to give him a little credit. I mean, they went out to West Virginia and won 49-35. Not that West Virginia is killing anybody out there, but Baylor's now 6-4. They're 5th in the Big 12 now with a 4-3 record in conference play. They're going to be hosting Houston, or they're going to Houston this week. Should win that game. They're better than Houston, so that's going to put them at 5-3. Depending on what goes on ahead of them, I think everybody thinks Colorado and possibly BYU or Iowa State have a chance for the Big 12 championship there. BYU took a big loss this week. Colorado State seems to be the team kind of cruising on up that looks like they might be a favorite for the Big 12. But, hey, Baylor started out so bad. Aranda was kind of in that place where you wondered whether or not they were going to have a chance for Dave to keep his job. Looks like he's going to keep his job right now, in my opinion, and they've got a chance to put another win on the board this week. Good for Baylor. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 is the Texas Tech Red Raiders and Joey McGuire, who have that team at 6-4, 4-3 in conference play. Unfortunately for them, they took a loss this week to Colorado, 41-27. They played at Colorado and lost that game 41-27. Not good. Actually, no, they didn't. They played Colorado at home, and there were some incidences kind of, and I give Texas a hard time about this and what the fans did in that Georgia game. But there was, again, another incident where they were throwing stuff onto the field. Texas Tech's known for throwing its tortillas. I've gone to a game in Lubbock, Texas. You guys need to get a hold of yourselves. I am chastising the Texas Longhorn fans for what they did in the Georgia game. But you guys are pretty bad about throwing stuff all the time. Tortillas is one thing, but throwing the stuff you were throwing, bottles and all of that onto the field just was not a good look for Texas Tech. And Joey had to get on the loudspeaker there and tell him to stop it. Even Dion, who's good friends with Joey McGuire, he said, hey, he's had to deal with it some in Colorado too. But fans are getting out of hand. And Texas, you're my Longhorns, but you are the ones that started this because of acting like an idiot like you did. But Texas Tech comes in at number 6. They're 6-4. Now let's go to number 5. Top 5. Number 5 is the TCU Horned Frogs, who are 6-4 now, 4-3 in conference play. They beat Oklahoma State 38-13. Oklahoma State hadn't won a game in the Big 12. So while it's a nice win for TCU to get another win going in there, and the reason I have them against Texas Tech right now is because they did beat Texas Tech. But good for TCU, 4-3. They are playing Arizona. They're hosting Arizona this Saturday. Coming to town, but TCU comes in at number 5. Let's go to our top 4. Number 4 is the Sam Houston State Bearcats, or Sam Houston Bearcats. They're not state anymore. Sam Houston Bearcats, who beat Kennesaw State 23-17. They are going to Jacksonville State, Deion Sanders' old stomping grounds. They're going to play them this Saturday. They are 8-2 overall, 5-1 in Conference USA. Jacksonville State. This is for the lead in Conference USA. Sam Houston State could be in first place in Conference USA if they win this game against Jacksonville State this Saturday. So that's a big one for the Bearcats. Good luck to them going into Jacksonville State and playing there. But that's going into Mississippi and trying to pull one out of there. Good for them. They come in at number 4. Now our top 3. Number 3 and staying at number 3 this week is the Texas A&M Aggies. And Texas A&M beat New Mexico State 38-3. And Aggies, let me tell you something, that wasn't enough. This is a team you were favored to beat by well over 30 points. You should have won that game. This is a game you should have won 50 something to 7. Now, I know you played some backups in that second half. You took the gas off, but this was a statement game that you needed to make, especially after that South Carolina loss. I'm not a big predictor, and I've thought that this November 30th game that's going to be coming up in 2 weeks was going to be good. This week they play Auburn. This is a trap game for them going into. They're going to be playing at Auburn, and I'm not going to lie to you. There are a lot of people that are, they're only 2.5-point favorites going into Auburn, into Alabama to play there. Tough place to play anyway. Auburn has shot themselves in the foot so many times this year. They've actually played some teams good, but ended up shooting themselves in the foot. If they don't turn the ball over, if they get any kind of running game going in any case, this could be a problem for Texas A&M, who might be looking ahead to Texas. But I'll be up front with you right now. I just don't see it. And Aggies can get mad at this. I am a homer. I am a UT fan. I've never stopped that. I just don't see a way that Texas A&M is going to beat Texas. I don't see it for one reason only. They can give Quinn Ewers some fits. They can. And we all know that. Texas A&M defense is good. They can do that. The problem is Texas defense is better and A&M doesn't. Texas has an offense that can potentially light you up and put you on your heels and score some points. A&M doesn't have that offense. Sorry, you just don't. You do when someone hasn't prepared for the quarterback that's playing. So if you're preparing for Marcel Reed and then all of a sudden you have a pocket quarterback come in and someone like Weigman who came in, which now he may be in third string. They brought in the backup that wasn't Weigman to play this last week, who looked relatively good on the field. I don't know what's going to happen with Connor, but that's what happened. Weigman comes in and you beat Missouri because Missouri's preparing for Marcel Reed, and Weigman just lights him up. Then he's the starter again. And what happens there? They go to Mississippi State, and Weigman doesn't look all that great. And then they go to LSU, and you bring in Connor, or you bring in Marcel Reed in the second half, and LSU wasn't prepared for Marcel Reed. All of a sudden, he runs the ball, dual threat quarterback. He doesn't throw as well and just kind of runs all over LSU. Big win there. And then South Carolina saw the writing on the wall and said, you know what? We'll prepare for both. Well, preparing for both against South Carolina is fine, but preparing for both when South Carolina did it was fine, and their offense did good, but South Carolina defense isn't near as good as Texas defense. The Texas defense is going to prepare for both, and I think you're going to bring in Marcel Reed, and then if you bring in a pocket passer after that, they have been good at applying pressure all year long, and they're going to – so it's not good, and that's why I think that Texas is probably not only going to win this game when that comes up in this coming up next week. I think they're going to win pretty big, but A&M is going to stay at number 3. I'm scared about what's going to happen this weekend against, honestly, what happens this weekend against Auburn. An Auburn team, by the way, that's 1-5 and 4-6 overall. But I think that's a game that could be bad for A&M, because A&M is a team that if they get behind at all, they really don't have a team that can come back. They don't have a 2-minute offense that do that. Look, they lost a recruit last week, a quarterback that flipped his commitment. Then they turned around and got another one to flip back to them. There's a quarterback out there. I think A&M this offseason, honestly, should go to the transfer portal, and they need to go in and find somebody that has already run, run some offense that Klein likes. Klein likes a dual threat quarterback. But if you get someone that can throw the ball as well as run the ball, that's when they're dangerous. It's why for Texas, the biggest fear I have for them is Oregon, because I got to tell you right now, Dylan Gabriel, that guy right there could single-handedly beat Texas, and he did with Oklahoma, which a team that was not as good as Texas beat Texas because Dylan Gabriel, and they couldn't keep him under. So they come in at number 3. Number 2 are the SMU Mustangs, and boy, howdy, do they just keep rolling. 38-28 against Boston College. They didn't look great at times in that game, but they controlled it the whole time and just beat the heck out of Boston College. They're now 9-1, 6-0, and in first place, sole first place in the ACC. Look, I mean, this week they play Virginia. If they beat Virginia, then they play Cal to end the season, and Cal's 1-5. What's Virginia? Virginia is 5-5. Cal's 5-5 overall, but they're 1-5 in conference. Virginia's 3-3 in conference. Golly, boy, I don't see a way that SMU honestly is not playing in the ACC championship game. And honestly, I mean, I think everyone wants to see Clemson play Miami. Well, you're going to have to Clemson, Miami. We're going to see which one of those two ends up with the it's going to end up going to the one of those two is going to be left out because SMU, I believe, I don't see any way SMU doesn't make the ACC championship game. Rhett Lashley's done an unbelievable job there. He just signed an extension there. This is a guy that I thought would probably get picked off and go to a bigger school. He likes the quarterbacks coming back. He moved on from Preston and moved into to a new quarterback, and this guy's just been lighting it up. What a great guy. Good for SMU. This is a team that looks like they're headed toward a chance to make the college football playoffs. Only loss they had was to BYU, who's now, unfortunately, that win's looking worse as they got beat finally, and it's falling back. But SMU is the number 2 team. Okay, number 1 and staying at number 1 is the Texas Longhorns, who beat Arkansas 20-10. A lot of people that give a lot of crud over that. Let me tell you what, they went into Arkansas, beat Arkansas by 10 points, and played like crap. I mean, Quinn Ewers didn't look great. Yeah, I know he threw for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't throw any interceptions, controlled the game. He was kind of like a bus driver is what he was. And the defense just basically shut down Arkansas and the dual threat quarterback, who's fantastic. And it's why Texas is where they are, is because of their defense. I'm telling you right now, I've said this. People thought I was nuts. If Texas ever puts together a complete game, if you look back this year in any game that's been complete, it was Michigan was pretty good. They've done it against lower teams. I guess you might could look at like Florida was a pretty good team where they put it all together. Now that was against a third string quarterback because Lagley wasn't playing in that Florida game, but still they went in and rolled them. Florida, they've been 49-17. And those 17 points, 10 points came at the end of the game when Texas was playing some backups there. But if Texas has everything clicking and they get the offense going and they get that clicking, I don't think there's a team in the country that can beat them. And the closest that could is probably Oregon. And the reason I say Oregon is Texas has not played a true dual threat quarterback who's really good. The Arkansas had a good dual threat quarterback. There's other teams. A&M's got Reed, who's a good dual threat quarterback, but they have some deficiencies in the throwing game, and Texas can exploit that. And if they keep that guy in check and don't let his legs beat him, they're going to beat those teams. But Gabriel is a guy who runs well and throws well. He's accurate with his passing, and it's why he's kept Oregon in some games that they almost lost, and it was because of Gabriel that they won those games, just because of his grit and his winning attitude. Texas is number 1 in Texas FBS. This time they're going to stay at number 1. There was 1 week I gave them. I made the mistake of giving them number 2, and I put A&M up at number 1 after that big win over LSU, and then A&M got exposed against South Carolina, who rolled them by 24 points. Really a bad loss there. Look, there are a lot of people talking about Texas. If Texas loses against A&M, they may not even make the playoffs. It's a possibility. It sucks because everybody that tries to look at strength of schedule, I have every kind of problem with this. Texas doesn't make the schedule. They've got it. What you do when you play less competition is you've got to beat them, and you got to beat them good. And you know what? Texas has killed them. Killed everybody they've played. Yes, Vanderbilt, they beat by 3 points. Vanderbilt's a good team. Look at Vanderbilt's resume and what they did this year. But they have rolled everybody else by double digits. They've covered every spread except, I think, 2 games. Georgia manhandled them. But they played good against Georgia in that second half. Defense played fantastic against Georgia. The problem is when you turn the ball over deep in your own end and that turns into 17 points, that's a problem. And that's going to be a problem for anybody. 3 turnovers within their own 30-yard line on their own end, and Georgia took advantage of that. They got 17 points out of it, but Texas. There was one drive Georgia had. It was after Texas went down and drove the ball and after that interception, scored that touchdown, and at a time when the defense needed to step up and do it, Georgia took the ball, moved it right down the field, and really just kind of took the wind out of the sails. And there was a point where Texas was just tired, and they took advantage of it. They had a good and what's his name had a good. He threw the ball well, and during that drive, they just up front they moved Texas around, went down and scored that final touchdown, and that was a legitimate good drive that they had in that game. And the one drive that Texas defense didn't look as good. But I'm telling you, their defense is too good. Texas is going to win against A&M, and I mean, the team that would probably scare me most in the SEC championship is probably going to be Ole Miss. I really think Texas beats Georgia if they play them again. Really think they play Alabama. They probably beat them. Milroe's a good dual threat quarterback, but he doesn't throw near as good as he runs. Texas defense could probably handle that. And look what they did to Milroe last year when they went into Alabama and beat him. In fact, they got him benched for a couple of games, and then he came back and became the quarterback he is. But those are the two. All three of those teams can obviously, and even A&M can beat Texas on the right night. But honestly, Texas, they're just the best team in the SEC right now, and I'll receive a lot of flack over that. And yes, I'm a Texas fan, but look, if they ever get this thing together and play a complete game, I don't think anybody can beat them in the country. That's it for this week 13, heading into it. One more week left before we go into the football playoffs. I think I might keep this going some during some shows in the offseason, maybe some recruiting shows and what's happening there. Let me know if you like it down there. Hit that subscribe button. And until next week, we'll see you then.